Shalom, shalom to everyone watching on the Ways of Israel. This is Rabbi Moshe Otero this morning, reading the Sefer Mishle as I have been preparing in Spanish a lot of the different programs. And one of the things that we look at is the importance of what the King Solomon is saying. And in Spanish we have a whole series, so you can go online and see the entire series. We're up to chapter 27 in Spanish. Haven't done this in English, so starting to provide certain readings for the morning. Open rebuke, King Solomon tells us, is better than concealed love. Literally, tovan tochachat, migadala me'ahava mesutaret. Literally, it is better an open rebuke than this hidden love. What does it mean by this? Ibn Ezra explains this verse as an ellipsis. An open rebuke is better than rebuke hidden out of love. Going quietly to the person saying shh. He tells us that public rebuke is more effective than his friend's rebuke given in secret. The former embarrasses him and is therefore more effective. The interpretation, however, is contrary to the Sifra in Leviticus and Vayikra 19:17, quoted by the Arachin, chapter 16b, which prohibits rebuke if the rebuked person's face changes, meaning it blushes by embarrassing. You're killing him by embarrassing him, causing him shame. This is what Ibn Nachmiyash says. The Mitzvah David renders open rebuke is good if it's the result of hidden love. Notice this. If it's the result of hidden love, that you're rebuking the person because you love them, not because you want to embarrass them and basically put him or her to shame, or even try to destroy the reputation of the person, but rather because you really mean to try to bring help, and in this way provide a solution, a refuah, for the problem of the person being rebuked. Although the rebuked person is embarrassed, the rebuke is still good if it's the result of hidden love. This also does not follow, however, the rabbinical teachings. Another explanation is that open rebuke is better than concealed love, because it is better to rebuke your friend and tell him openly that he has sinned than to hide it in your heart because you love him. It may also mean that to rebuke someone in public, if it produces results, although it is not proper, it's better than love hidden in the heart, which does not produce results. This according to Ibn Nachmiyash. But the verse continues forward, saying the wounds of a lover are faithful. The wounds of a lover who wounds his friends in order to guide him to the straight path are faithful, because they carry out their purpose and cause the friend to improve his ways. And it is burdensome. It is an expression of largeness to have multiplied against me, as we read in Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 13. And therefore it is very burdensome to be able to rebuke someone in public in such a way that perhaps he or she may listen. Last week I posted, or not last week, yesterday actually, I posted a saying from the Lubavitcher Rebbe that if you think good, it will go good. Pondering on that thought, if you think bad, that means that person who's thinking bad and reacts in a negative way is producing the bad that's already inside of him. From the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And unfortunately, when you need to rebuke someone that you don't want to embarrass him or her, you don't want to reference his or her name so that that person won't go under the title of being embarrassed, and it would be as if you're killing him or her. And unfortunately, we have a lot of leaders that have moved away from this idea that out of love you should rebuke and correct. And unfortunately, we have instead people who basically utilize the public media as a way to lash out because of the hurt they feel. They feel bitter. They feel angry. They feel that somehow they were dissed. And unfortunately, we have even leaders that feel this way. So this message of open rebuke is better than concealed love is so apropos to this week as we are lighting the Hanukkah menorah, because we need to have that transparency. You know, there are leaders that go out there and try to destroy the character and reputation of people who've been involved in an incredible sechut of merit of helping giors, helping converts, helping people come closer to Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu and add to our community. And how do they go about trying to destroy that? By falsely accusing that person is not even observant, therefore making that person a non-kosher witness. Completely destructible. This is what I'm talking about. Negative minds destroy, negative minds, bad thinking destroys everything in their way. And what one person needs to do is basically stay away from such a mindset. It's very hard. I'm not going to say it's not, because when you see so many injustices take place, your first knee-jerk reaction is you want to respond and you want to tear them apart and you want to give them a piece of your mind. You want to tell them and set the record straight. But there are people that are incorrectable. They cannot be corrected because their mindset and their spirit is a narcissistic spirit. So no matter what you say, no matter what you do, even if you try to do it in love, they're just not going to hear you. And in that case, it's better not even to openly rebuke them. Or especially do it in such a way that it's referring to me. And this is the problem that we have, unfortunately. In our Jewish community, I've always said this. My wine is bitter, but it's my wine. And unfortunately, it's like a family that many times you have a lot of dysfunctional persons in the family, and you need to try to deal with each of the dysfunctions that exist. I myself have my own dysfunction. I'm sure you do too. So working to try to bring harmony in such a way to be able to resolve the differences and resolves the problem that we all face is a major task, no doubt about it. And it is to this that we need to understand the purpose and method of open rebuke. A lot of people will stay up there and pontificate. Oh, these guys are not rabbis. Okay, so we're playing crackerjack rabbis. It's so funny, it's so hilarious that even to mention this is silly, because all you have to do is go to the Rabbinical Association and find out if I am or if I'm not. Obviously, they requested a smicha certification that I have my smicha. Same thing with issues of conversions. Conversions nowadays are, they're making more than what it is. And as if there's got to be an authorized system of approach. You try to do it the right way, but many times, as we've seen in this world, there's a lot of politicking taking place. And even in Israel, it's so divided, the issues of conversion, that they even have set up halakhic conversion versus conversions recognized and authorized by the Rabbanut. But going apart from that, a conversion is a conversion even without. If a person takes upon himself to become a Jew, as the Shulchan Aruch mentions, you don't even need a Beit Din. It's good to have people who witnesses, kosher yids, and that would be even sufficient for the communities that are building their emerging communities. And let me say this, we have over 40 plus emerging communities. We're listing every single convert in Israel, so that way the Sochnut is aware of how we're working with them, how we've taught them, and how observant they are, just like the teachers that are teaching them. And to try to attack that is really attacking Hashem himself. Why do I say this? Because Hashem says very clearly that Hashem loves the proselyte. Listen to closely. Hashem loves the proselyte. He loves them. Even He gives a commandment, an additional commandment to us Jews, to love the proselyte. And when you attack the persons that are helping these individuals come on board, become part of Kolal Israel, you're not attacking the person necessarily. Unless we did something wrong in the process, Okay, you can attack. You can publicly attack. But when you attack the person's helping them, you're attacking Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And guess what happens to such a person that attacks the Kavod of Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu? What do you think will happen to such a person who does that? I feel myself an incredible privilege that they are attacking me because of that. Why? Because that only goes to show that there's something in that person who is attacking me that's wrong with themselves. You think good, it'll go good. You think bad and evil and you doubt everything around you, you're in the very bitter depth of bitterness and hatred and envy and all of those things that even Shlomo HaMelech mentioned about, that even jealousy is worse than anger and wrath. Think about that. Worse. This is why it's wonderful to be part of Kalal Yisrael. This is why my commitment to Torah observant has nothing to do with individual peoples. It has everything to do with my relationship with Hashem Kodesh Baruch Hu. And how dare anyone accuse you or me or anyone that you're not observant? That's a chutzpah. That's a really big chutzpah. Not to mention it's Motzi Shemra, it's Lashon Hara, and all of that evil comes upon the person that speaks it, that posts it. So open rebuke, my friends, is better than concealed love. And I hope with this short video that the person or persons that are involved in speaking evil, even if they have the title of rabbi, because really there's a lot of people who have the paper of rabbi and they're not really rabbis, they're destroyers of Bet Knesset's. And let me remind some of these leaders that they've destroyed their own communities multiple times. They destroyed their own homes. So before, I'm going to use one of, before you judge me, notice that when you point the finger, there's a whole bunch of fingers pointing back at you. And, being in a crystal house, it's easily to be broken. I wish, and my prayer is, that Hashem provides a full healing to those who basically falsely accuse me without any substance, and due to shuva. Yes, even leaders need to do some shuva. That's what this whole coronavirus is all about. It gives us the opportunity to do shuva, my friends. Even the highest level rabbi, the most intellectually enlightened rabbi, need to do shuva. This is what we learned that's going to happen before Mashiach comes. All Israel will do shuva, even in the highest level possible. So you know what? Instead of having an open heart to be able to listen to what Hashem is saying to all Israel, be humble, be of a broken and contrite heart. Realize that the very Bechema Yetzer Hara in us all sometimes makes us act completely reprehensible. Reprehensible. And for this, when a person acts out of line, it's Hashem that will rebuke the person directly. Where and how? In his own personal life. Becomes tormented. Remember the king Shaul? He began to take his power to such a level he began to be abusive, pursuing King David. My friends, the same thing has happened today, and is repeating itself until we Jews realize of the great Averah that we've committed in Sinat Hinam and accusing one another and not learning. And believe me, I'm putting this first on my plate. First, to practice Sinat Ahava, not with hypocrisy, not with this double standard that you see nowadays, but honestly and sincerely, and say, you know what? I forgive you for the harm that you're doing to yourself by speaking falsely and accusing me falsely. I forgive you. Because you know what? It shows that your spirit and your soul is really in need of shuvah and healing. You're sick. You need to see a psychologist or a medical doctor, mental medical doctor. And if you don't understand what that means, it means you need to have someone who will be able to tell you the truth heart to heart, and that you're sensitive enough to open to it. But when a person has a narcissistic spirit, a narcissistic mindset, it's very hard to penetrate unless Hashem gives you some wax. And unfortunately, this particular person I have in mind has been given many particular whacks. You lose your synagogue, whack. Your community is broken away, whack. Your closest families and friends will go away from you, whack. If you're still not listening to Hashem, I think you need to re-examine the circumstances and say, Hashem, have Rahmanis on me. I'm asking Hashem to have Rahmanis on you. And I will not respond according to your latest series of false attacks, false accusations and attacks. May God bless you. May God strengthen you. May God bring you healing in your heart and your mind so you can renew your strength and regain what you have lost. Because in fact, you are sick, my friend, and you need healing, not from me, but from Hashem Kodesh Baruch Hu. Many people have tried to help you, and you have turned a deaf ear to all the help. Many people have tried to openly rebuke you, but you have done no reaction, no application to the wrongs done. So when you start taking care of yourself and correcting yourself and healing yourself by the power of Hashem's word and by the power of those chavruta that you have around you, maybe you would have then the respectability again to have your words recognized and respected. Meanwhile, they're just bubbles in the air. Attempts to try to instigate a war which will not happen. God bless you. And God bless every single one of you that are watching. Remember, open rebuke is better than concealed love. So, when someone rebukes me, you better be sure I listen to it. I listen to every single word that's being said, whether it's true or not, and examine myself. Because God works in such a mysterious way that sometimes we do need to sit down and listen to one another instead of be talking so much. Yes, my friends, how do we do it? How do we know that the person that's trying to correct this is doing it out of love? Because words from the heart penetrate the heart. Words from the ego and the narcissistic spirit comes from the ego and the Yetzer Hara, and you know it's 100% behema. Complete yesh. And this we know because the parshas that we're reading is so perfect to what's going on in our personal worlds. May Hashem bless you, keep you, and strengthen you. And may you do shuvah. But I mean real shuvah, not this pretend shuvah. And everyone that is watching this, remember that I feel myself to be very privileged that I have the opportunity to be part of the Jewish Federations of the Jewish Federation of Rabbis, or Rabbis of the Jewish Federation, and also to have over 40 communities that I'm supervising. So I really don't have time to address the narcissistic mentality that exists in some leaders. May God bless you and strengthen you. And to Rabbi Fred Klein, may Hashem continue to strengthen you and bless you as you are leading the rabbis of different denominations in forward, even during this period of COVID. God bless every single rabbi out there, and it is my desire that God strengthens you and make you healthy, make you prosperous in the middle of this period of time of great distress for the Jewish people and for the world at large. Shalom, shalom.